Welcome to the First Fight podcast, episode 7. I have my friend and UFC fighter, Katlyn Chookagian. She's currently ranked number 3 in the UFC and has a fight coming up in Toronto, the 8th, with Jessica I. Hi, Katlyn.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Now, Katlyn's a lifelong martial artist, so she's kind of a special case because she's had a ton of different types of fights, but she's going to introduce herself, tell you a little bit about her history in fighting, and get into her story.
Hello. I started martial arts when I was 4. My older brother did karate, and he's 4 years older than me. So when he would be training, I was always in the lobby with all the other little brothers and sisters, and that's kind of just how I got into it. I was like, he did it, I want to do whatever he does. I wanted to do that. Although the younger siblings kind of joined when they got older too. So I joined karate when I was 4, and that was my thing. I just became obsessed with it. I always did it. All my friends were from there. Weekends we would go to karate tournaments. It was more so my older brother was doing it, and then I was doing it as well. So from there, I as a kid, I'd done every other sport, softball, soccer, field hockey, but my main thing was always martial arts. I kind of always excelled at it from the beginning. Whenever we had a class, I was always kind of, the best there, or at the top. Whenever you tournament, I just had a lot of success there. And that kind of drove me. I kind of fed off of that. I was like, I like the attention of being the best in the class. Mm-hmm. That was my goal every time. And that just kind of motivated me and kept my interest more. Where the place where I was, so I had started at a Tiger Showman's when I was 4, and it was mainly karate. And as I got older and kept training, the format of the schools were changing into MMA without us even knowing it. We would have all the traditional kata and kumite classes, board breaking, and then we'd have a grappling class where it was very basic no-gi submissions, stuff like that. And we would do full contact kickboxing. So at that time, I thought I was doing karate, but I didn't even realize I was doing some sort of early stage of MMA. Yeah. Without putting it all together, we had grappling classes, and then as I got older, it was, I was in high school then, and I started, competitively training kickboxing and then grappling. I didn't really know about MMA. Some of the adult instructors had competed in some small MMA fights. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really know that was an option. It was more kickboxing and boxing, or you do a Naga or grappling tournament. I just always fell in love with it. When it came time to graduate high school, I was teaching kids classes and private lessons at a Tiger Showman's that I was training at and training every night. I was obsessed with it, and I was I don't want to go to college. I just want to work at a school and just teach and train. Mm-hmm. I was there's no point in me going to college. But my parents were listen, you can go to college. It's a good experience, good backup. Just in case you change your mind, you can always do this after. So I did that, and, I still I went to college in New Jersey, and that's where I was training at Tiger Showman's. They had their main headquarters was there, so that's why I picked that college, because it was close to it and I could train. And then I started realizing MMA was something that I was more interested in rather than just kickboxing and grappling separate. And when I noticed that was something I wanted to do, I started thinking, what's the best training? I want to do that. Some of the people I were training with were getting amateur MMA fights. I'm all right, I want to do that. And, that's when I kind of realized that the training that I was getting wasn't perfect for me individually. It might have been good for some of the other people there, but there wasn't enough girls there. I needed that transition between the striking and the ground and everything on the ground. So that's when I had left and started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I wanted to change gyms just to find a better match, and I didn't know where to go. So in the meantime, my friend was like, oh, I train jiu-jitsu, like with the gi on, and I had never done that. I was like, well, I don't want to do that because I want to do MMA, but I'll train there for a month until I figure out what gym I want to go to. So I started doing that, and it was a Renzo Gracie affiliate in Newark. And I just basically was like, wow, I thought I knew some grappling, but I don't know anything. Like my jiu-jitsu was terrible. So I just trained jiu-jitsu for twice a day for like a whole year, and mostly in the gi. I started competing a lot. And then from there, I kind of met everyone with the whole Renzo Gracie affiliate and Ricardo Almeida and everything, and kind of got involved with MMA and bringing it all together.
So what brought about your first MMA fight?
All right, so my first fight, I went into one of the affiliates, and Jamal Patterson was there, and he was like, oh, you know, you want to do MMA? I'm like, yeah, I want to do MMA. And then he saw me sparring. He's like, all right, well, why don't you just...
You were prepared.
Yeah, he's like...
More so than most people.
Yeah, he's like, so what are you waiting for? I was like, well, I don't know if I'm ready. He's like, yeah, you're ready. You can do it. I was like, oh, like, okay, I guess so. And then I had, like, signed up for my first fight, and it was like... all right, you're in camp. And I was like, wait, what? It's like my whole life I wanted that. But then when I don't know, it was like, I felt like, wait, am I ready for this? Even though I wanted it. I wanted it my whole life. And that's all. And then I was like, wait, so that's it? It's just that easy? Just get a fight? But yeah, I mean, I had been training like my whole life.
So how old were you when you had your first MMA fight?
I think I was like 23.
Okay. Yeah,
22, 23. Yeah. So, yeah, I was 22, 23. It was, right. I remember my fight was, I had graduated college, and I was like, all right, if I want to train full time, I can't get like a regular job, you know, because all the training was during the day, you know, so I was like, you know what, I'll just bartend so I can work on the weekends. And then I'll work weekends, work nights, and then I'll have all day to train. And I was like, you know, I just graduated college. Maybe I should get like a real job. I don't know. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the MMA thing. And then by the time I'm 25, if I'm pro or like just about there, then I'll stick with it. If not, then I'll just do it for fun, and I'll get like a real job. So luckily it worked out, because at 25 I became pro. So I was like, all right, good. Everything worked out. Yeah, but my first fight was in Pennsylvania. It was like in some small high school gym. I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this, you know. And I had done a lot of like kickboxing and boxing fights, and karate competitions my whole life. So I was like, you know, it seems like it should be an easy transition. Oh, you've been doing like, you know, combat sports like your whole life and competing. It's not that big of a deal. But I was like, yeah, but I wear a headgear. We wear big gloves. Like, I didn't know, even when we train MMA, we don't wear like those small gloves, and you wear a headgear. And I was like, what's going to happen when I get hit with these little gloves? Like, I was kind of nervous. I was like, am I going to get hit one time and just be like, wait, I don't want to do this, like, and just crumble? Like, that hurts. Like, I had never been punched like with those little gloves and no headgear.
A rude awakening.
I was like, what is my reaction going to be when I get hit? Yeah. And that was like the biggest fear. I was just like,
Can they do ground and pound in Pennsylvania?
No, you could. Once you went to the ground, you couldn't. You could only punch to the body, and you wore shin guards.
Oh, okay.
But a fight starts standing, and I was just picturing and of course the girl I was fighting, there was like no footage on her. She had like maybe like 4 fights, but like when you have no fights, 4 fights is like, oh my god, yeah. And I was like, she's gonna just come out swinging, and what am I gonna do? But I mean, luckily I had been around a lot of people that trained and fought, so I kind of like knew how to prepare for it. And I was like lucky enough to be around like, you know, professionals. So I wasn't just like training in a garage and going into it like a lot of people their first.
You were very prepared.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like it's scarier being prepared, because like when you didn't know anything, you just didn't care. You didn't realize like how dangerous it was. And the more I knew, the scarier it got sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think about like even just like stupid stuff I used to do when I was younger, and now I'm like, oh my God, that's not safe. You don't know the consequences.
You don't know until you get hit and you're like, oh, yeah, that hurts. I don't want to keep doing that.
Yeah. And then, so my fight was on a Friday night, and the Sunday before was Hurricane Sandy.
Oh, okay.
So I was in New Jersey at the time, and they were like, yeah, the storm's coming. And I'm always like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. My mom's like, make sure you gas up, get groceries. I'm like, well, whatever, I'm cutting weight anyway. I can't really eat, so this will be fine, Yeah. Who cares? And then, like, when it happened, there was, like, it was insane. Like, you couldn't drive on the street for 3 days, and I was like, oh my God, is my fight going to be on? Like, my fight was in Philly, and Philly was hit just as bad, if not worse. Like, no one had power for, like, days. So, like, I had to, like, go on during the fight week being like, am I fighting or am I not? Am I going to be able to get to the arena? Even if, because my parents live in Pennsylvania, and they had no power. They own a restaurant and a bar, and that shopping center had power. They were, like, slammed because no one had power. They were just going there, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, so I had to go the whole week being like, am I fighting or am I not? Like,
that's the hardest part.
Yeah, it was just kind of threw the wrench in it, and I couldn't get to the gym. I was like staying at my friend's house because that night I stayed there, and there was like a couple people there. We were all staying there, and they're all like, oh, this is fun. They're all like drinking, and I'm like, I'm having my first fight in like 4 days. I'm like hitting mitts in like a cold like living room, trying to like cut weight. I was like, I'm gonna be so pissed if I'm doing all this. But I could just be like relaxing and eating and stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wait until then. And like, it was funny. Like, I ended up having the fight, but like at the time of the fight, the place I was staying at, I still didn't have power. So we were like going to places to charge our phone. So it was just like that extra, like, it was just like that extra stress, in the first fight. But it was almost, now I can think about it, it was almost better because it distracted me, because I was thinking about that. And like the first fight, it didn't go smoothly. So like, well, the next one will be a lot easier, like when everything's going smoothly. Like 2 days before, I had to like cut weight. So I ended up going to my parents in Pennsylvania because like the gym near there was like open, so I had to go there and just stay there. Like we stayed at my grandparents. We stayed at my grandparents' house, and then I could go to the gym there to cut weight. It was crazy. There was like a couple of my friends from New Jersey and New York that had bought tickets, and then they couldn't go to the fight. They're like, I don't have gas, so we can't even get there. And I'm like, it's okay.
I'm surprised they had it.
Yeah, I was almost like positive they weren't gonna have it, and they ended up having it. So yeah, it was kind of crazy leading up to it. So yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. But yeah, that was like leading up to it. So then with all that craziness, by the time the fight actually came, I was like, oh, well, this is easy. I was like, this'll be easy. Now all that drama's over with. Now I can just fight and get it over with. So
were you really nervous?
Yeah, I was really nervous just because I didn't know because I didn't know what to expect. My first fight, the girl looked a lot scarier than me. She like had tattoos all over, like just looked mean, and I was like, oh, I was there in like my leopard leggings and stuff. Like I was like, oh, I should have like looked a little tougher, I had my matching outfit, and I was like, my nails painted to match my outfit and everything. But so yeah, I was definitely excited. But yeah. So when I went into the fight, like warming up and stuff, I was like, okay, this is kind of like my boxing and kickboxing fights, I guess. But like when I fought boxing and kickboxing, I didn't really care so much because that wasn't like, I was just doing it for fun. But like when it came to MMA, I was like, I feel like this is more serious. Like I feel like like, I can't lose, you know? Like, if I lost in, like, a boxing or kickboxing fight, I was like, oh, okay, go to the gym and I'll get another one. It was just something fun to do. But, like,
more like a competition almost.
Yeah. This felt like more serious, you know? And I just, without even really knowing, like, oh, this is what I want to do for my career, I think, like, subconsciously I knew that. But, you know, I put that pressure on me before I even knew it. I just, like, there was some type of sense of, like, okay, this is going to kind of tell, like, what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Like, you know, I didn't think I realized that at the time, but I felt like people around me kind of knew that this was more serious than, like, a boxing fight for me or a kickboxing or grappling competition.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but it just felt more serious. And I also felt that because I'd been training for a long time, there was a little bit more pressure on me because it was like, I felt like people were like, oh, well, of course you're going to, you know, you've been training for so long, of course you're going to win. And I was kind of like, well, I've never actually done this. Like, I know I've been training, but I haven't done this before. So I did feel like there was a little bit of extra pressure with that where I was kind of expected to do it and do it, like, easily.
Well, that's what kind of the bad part that comes along with doing it your whole life.
Yeah.
Like, people have higher expectations of you. But MMA, it just has a different element. Even, like, my first fight was kickboxing, but you don't have that fear, like, I could be on my back getting punched in the face at one point in time.
Yeah.
Like, it adds a little extra level of, this is, like, a real fight.
I feel like in, like, kickboxing, it's like if things go wrong for a second, you can at least just run towards them and try to, like, clinch them and hug them and at least get a second where the referee breaks you and then you're like, okay, now you can
control
reset.
it, yeah.
It's a little bit safer.
So, what was the outcome of your...
I won decision, like, unanimous decision.
And when you were done, were you like, this is for me?
Yeah, I definitely was. I was like, okay, this isn't... I was so scared. Like, I put so much pressure on myself for that first fight, being like, what's it going to be like when I get hit? The first hit, what's it going to be like? That's going to determine if I can do this or not, you know? And then
it's funny way you fix it.
Yeah, like, that was, like, the biggest fear of mine. And then I'm like, once I got hit once, I was like, oh, that's nothing. All right, now we can start everything else, you know? Now I know I can do this. Now I just got to get, like, perfect everything else. But that was, like, it's crazy. Like, that's such a big fear of mine.
The first time I got hit, I just walked right into it. Because I was like, kickboxing stance. I'm like, okay. And instantly, like, clinched up, which is not even like me. But it was, like, second nature. I'm like, fuck this. I don't like it. I don't want to do it.
I mean, I still don't like getting hit, but I don't think anyone really ever does.
No, definitely not. But, I mean, with little gloves, it's just, like, the margin of error is a lot smaller, you know? Like, I feel like you get hit harder with big gloves, but little gloves, it's like, you get cut easy.
Yeah. Kind of hurts more.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely don't enjoy it. No. Although I never got really beat up. I always just get one little mouse every fight.
Yeah.
Or my lip would split or something. One little injury. Nothing major though, luckily. So far.
One of my fights I've gotten caught in, like, my last amateur fight. I got caught, like, a little bit. I was like, oh, that's scary because I didn't even, like, feel it.
Yeah.
When I got cut, I was like, that's scary. You can get cut really bad. And it's
elbow.
Like, just like, I don't even remember. We were clinched up like, kind of both throwing, like, you know, shitty knees to each other's stomach and, like, blood dripped. I'm like, ooh, I made her bleed. And then it dripped again. I'm like, no, that's me. I think it was just like when we went to clinch in, we might have, like, headbutted each other or something. I don't even know how it happened. That's how, like, easy it is to get cut. And then I was nervous. I was like, now I got, like, 4 stitches. I thought it was, like, so cool. And I was like, but then I was nervous. I'm like, some people get cut and then every fight it opens up. But luckily that's been, like...
Yeah, you don't have that style either.
Yeah.
Which is kind of something I wanted to talk about with you because you're a very technical fighter. And I understand your perspective, but I feel like a lot of people, they criticize people that don't get hit and use footwork, you know. I know you've been criticized in the past about running too much or moving backwards too much. How do you feel about that? Like, that lack of knowledge, I would feel.
Yeah, it used to bother me a lot. Like, I used to, once I became pro and stuff, I felt like, after fights, I was like, wow, I felt really good. I felt like my timing, my speed, I had really good footwork. Like, I would go in the back and, like, my coaches would be like, oh, like, your footwork was really good. Your boxing looked so good. Everything looked really technical. And like, some of my training partners would say that. And then I, like, as I got, more fights and stuff, I would hear, like, on social media criticism, like, oh, she's boring. I was like, wait, boring? Like, I never thought I was, like, a boring fighter. Boring. And then, like, all she does is run. I got like, this isn't a track meet. This is a fight. And I'm like, wait, I never, like, the thought of that, like, never even crossed my mind. And then I would start seeing those comments all the time. And at first, like, I wasn't used to seeing that stuff. It definitely bothered me. Because I was like, especially now, like, in the UFC, you hear all this criticism of, like, boring fighters. And they don't get, like, you could win a bunch of fights, but if it's boring, someone that wins with, like, a less, like, record that's not as good, they win with, like, a crazy knockout, they're definitely going to get more attention. And it sucks because it's like, that's not my style. My style is technical, and I work really hard to be technical, and then for that to get kind of shitted on sucks.
Isn't the point to not get hit? It's like fans, a lot of people just want to see the blood. They want to see those two guys that just go toe to toe and both move forward and use their faces as, like,
exactly
their defense.
The people that, like, really know fighting will appreciate that, and they understand that that's footwork and, like, you moving, and, like, they'll think I'm just running away. And I'm like, well, like, if you look at most of my fights, I usually have, like, no marks on my face, and my opponent is usually, like, has a lot of marks on their face. So obviously I'm hitting. And obviously I'm not just running away, like, I'm hitting them and picking them apart.
Yeah, they're usually, I know you're criticizing your last fight, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought you definitely won that fight. But if you just looked at her, she was, like, beat up.
Yeah, her coaches were like, oh, she just gets bruised easily. I was like, well. That
was really disappointing because he's a very well-known striking coach, and he's very technical, and he's super snobby about striking, and you think that he would appreciate the fact that you totally outstruck his fighter. Like,
I think because he is snobby about striking, he had a hard time dealing with his fighter getting, like, outstriked.
Yeah. I thought for sure you won that fight. I thought they got it right. I didn't know what the judges would do because I know how they judge sometimes. They she definitely was moving forward more and controlling the cage more, or the ring more, but she was walking into punches every time. Yeah. So if it works, why would you stop? I don't know.
Yeah.
I like to judge off effectiveness. Yes. Not just who's, like, a bigger bully.
Yeah.
That really.
It's like if you're running forward but getting hit the whole time.
What's the point?
Yeah.
I don't want to be the best person at taking punches.
Yeah.
To be honest. So I thought you got it right. I thought his criticism was bullshit. And I'm looking forward to seeing you fight your next fight. I definitely do not think you're a boring fighter. I understand what some people think is boring, but you have so many different tools, and I sparred you before, so I have a very real fear of some of those tools. Like, you don't just grapple, you can do everything. I think now, especially, you've really developed your wrestling too as well. Yeah. But you have that, like, little time bomb that goes off sometimes that is really exciting. Yeah. Like with Liz Carmouche, that was out of nowhere and it was awesome. Yeah. So I think you're going to show more of that too. I think this is going to be a really good fight against Jessica I, and I'm looking forward to seeing you get another win.
Yes, I'm so excited. I just wish it was, like, tomorrow.
I know.
Now it's like the long week of waiting for it to come.
And what is it on?
UFC 231.
Is it going to be on Fox? No.
FS1.
FS1? Okay.
Yeah, mine. Well, I'll be on the prelims on FS1.
Okay, so you can watch Katlyn on FS1 on the 8th in Toronto fighting Jessica I. So this is a big fight. There's a lot going on in the division. I think it'll just further solidify your spot up top. So thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you.